Chetan Mehta, and I'm the instructor for the BA course. Before we start the demo, I will just quickly introduce myself and then let you guys introduce yourself, all three of you, Nisha, Sampath, and Sonal if she's back. So as I said, I'm Chetan Mehta. I have an undergrad in marketing and an MBA, and in all I have like 14 years of experience. 4 years in non-IT, but I've worked in like marketing, business development, procurement side for like 3 to 4 years in India, and I've got like 10 years of experience in pure business analysis, requirements management, project management side. So currently I'm working as a business analyst manager for Booz Allen Hamilton, and as Mark said, I'm based out in Virginia, and I'm kind of even though I work as a manager, I still want to do hands-on. So I'm still very much involved in doing hands-on business analysis work, and that's one of the reasons why I want to I do this coaching, so that I really can share my experience and expertise with others. And I'm also like a certified project management professional and a certified business analyst from IIBA, and also a business process management certified. So having said that, I would like to quickly get some introduction from Nisha, Sampath, and Sonal. So basically what you can do is, just quick and short and precise education background, work experience if any, and what is your goal, what is that you're looking from this training. So you can unmute yourself and, just give a quick introduction. Nisha, you want to start?
In biochemistry from California State University, and have a background in pharmaceuticals, healthcare, and right now I actually work in one of the community colleges as a chemistry instructor.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And but I want to move on to the IT side because I think my work hours with this profession is very erratic. They are basically early mornings or late evening classes, which doesn't suit with my, I have 2 kids, so it doesn't really balance out. So I wanted to give an option to try if I can move on into, BA training. I tried to go into QA, but I wasn't sure because I think QA is more of technology, more of computer language based. So people suggested me to try for BA.
Okay.
And that's what this is my basically trying to find out more details about the course.
Okay. And sorry, I think I missed a certain part of your introduction. So you said how many years of experience you have?
Well, I don't have any experience in IT.
No,
but
not
I have
overall.
Teaching about 8 to 9 years of experience.
Wow, that's great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the way the teaching or the academic industry moves, it's way like it's like it's very erratic. You basically get one job, full-time job option opened in like 4 to 5 years, and there are 100 applicants applying for it. So the chances of getting full-time faculty position is very, very low as compared to jobs in IT.
Right. Actually, my first job was in academics. In 99, that was, in India I'm talking about, so my first job was in academics as a research associate at IIM Ahmedabad. So I know, it's kind of what you're saying, so I can relate to that. But yeah, definitely that's a pretty nice, you have good experience. It doesn't matter whether IT, non-IT, and if you have experience, it's always a plus point. Okay, good, thanks. And your goal, as I said, you want, as I heard, you want to transition your career from a non-IT to IT. Into the business analyst role. Right.
And the best combination would be to get into healthcare IT because I have taught a lot of medical assistance schools, taught in a profession that deals with medical assistance, programming, healthcare. So I'm well familiar with ICDs and HIPAAs and would prefer to go in that area. But again, when to start on, I may get a job in that or I may get in a different domain. So I'm open right now for it, but my ultimate goal would be to go into healthcare IT.
Okay. So basically you have a good domain knowledge of healthcare. Now all you need is, good get some business analysis training, and then we can club together, and you can get into your desired role.
Yes, yeah,
Good.
absolutely. That's right. I'm a medical writer, pharmaceutical with the medicines, biochemistry, all that is what I've been doing from past 8 years.
Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you, Nisha. Sampath?
Hi Chetan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm Sampath. I'm in New Jersey. I've been working in an insurance company for the past 10 years. I work as an IT support services lead. Basically, I lead the QA automation team. I've been doing that for the past 8 years. I'm thinking of going into BA. I've been doing QA for the past 10 years, so I'm just trying to see if I can change my career.
Okay, cool. Excellent. So we both have pretty good experienced people on the call. Nice.
I see more openings in BA. Most of the QA part is being offshore people are taking care of that.
So, right. Okay.
Yeah, that is inside only.
Okay. So yeah, thanks, Sampath. So moving on to Sonal, are you back? I think.
Sorry?
Is Sonal there?
Yeah, it's very nice place.
Hi, Sonal. Hi. So I think I don't know where you seem to be. I think muted for a long. So quick introduction. Did you hear me talking? Because in the beginning when we started, probably you were not there. So I don't know when you joined. So you got what I was saying, like my introduction and all that. So we are doing a quick introduction of everyone. So can you just quickly introduce yourself, your education, work experience, and your goal from this course?
It's saying tell the partner the following ID and password.
Hello?
No.
Sonal?
Okay. It says 625-602.
Okay, I think probably she's talking on the phone. Okay, so are we ready? Nisha and Sampath, both of you?
Yes.
Any questions? Okay, so yeah, let's start. Okay, so in today's session, what we will do is I'll quickly introduce you to this entire role of business analysis, right? So agenda for today's session is understand the BA domain, the business analysis discipline in itself. Also what is the role of a business analyst? So do you mind if I put you on mute, and then you can always raise question or unmute yourself, and you can ask questions if you have.
Exactly.
Yes.
Please.
Right. Thank you. Okay. So we'll also take a look at what a BA does in a day-to-day activities. The role of a BA, what is the importance of the business analysis in any organization or a project. Some of the key skills required by a good BA, of course the career prospects, we'll take a look at that, and then I will describe what the training program looks like, the roadmap we have, and then we can have a Q&A session, and as I said, you can also ask questions in between if you have any. Okay, so before I jump into the business analysis part, let's first dissect the term and first understand what the business is all about, right? What do you mean by business? So can I get some response from Nisha and Sampath on that? You can unmute yourself, and just we'll have a discussion on what do you mean by a business? I'll unmute you guys.
Hi, Chetan.
Yeah.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
I didn't get your question.
Okay, I was saying, before we start talking about the BA, right, business analysis, let's first understand what is a business, what is an organization, right? So when I talk about the business, generally people think about, a company or, some sort of a commercial entity, right? So probably, what do you think, when I ask about a definition of a business? What do you think? What comes in your mind?
I'm not sure whether I'm giving the right answer, but I'll try.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a wrong or right answer, just whatever you have, it's a discussion.
Yeah, sure. A business can be like a set of entities closely working together for the main reason is to provide the services to the people, and it's basically earning the money.
Okay, good. Nisha, do you agree?
Yes, I do agree.
Okay, good. So yeah, that's a definition is correct. But if you look into the entire what the business is all about, it's more than just the commercial entities. So it's basically any entity that is formed and administered by like a group of professionals to engage either in the commercial or a non-commercial activities too. Right? It can be a commercial, it can be non-commercial. So when I talk about the commercial entities, there are basically three main goals of any commercial entities: profit maximization, right? Cost minimization, and if they have borrowed money from the from the public, if they have raised some capital from the market, stock market, then what is the third goal? To maximize their shareholder value. Right? So these are the three goals of any commercial entities. On the other side, we have the non-commercial entities. Now, in the non-commercial, you can have like NPOs, which we call the non-profit organizations. You might have heard about those, right? NPOs, NGOs.
Yes.
Right. Now, the main goal of NPOs is not to maximize profit or minimize the cost, but they have certain goal or vision or a mission for which they are generating some money. So they do have the revenues, but their goal is not to maximize the profit and share it amongst the shareholders or the promoters of the firm. So their goal is to generate the revenue but pump it back into what they are for, to achieve the goals. So for example, you might have heard of like a institute, PMI, Project Management Institute, or UNICEF.
Hey Chetan, a lot of disturbance.
Yeah, I'll mute you guys, okay?
Okay, sure.
Can you guys unmute from your end, just in case, or raise the hands and I will unmute you, okay? So the non-commercial entities, as I said, it can basically, they generate some sort of revenue, but they don't, the goal is to pump the entire revenue back into the business to promote their entity or the organization. So as I said, NPR, National Public Radio, UNICEF, or the Project Management Institutes. So these are the basic, or even a university, that's a good example, that where they do collect the tuition from students. So they do have some sort of revenue coming in, cash coming in, but they are not into, technically they are not into the profit making. The goal is to educate students and empower them with some knowledge and promote, this kind of education. So that's kind of non-commercial entities or NPOs, what we call. And the third one is the charitable organizations. Now the charitable organizations are mainly for some sort of philanthropic goals, like Human Rights Campaign or American Red Cross. So their goal is basically to generate some revenues and fulfill the goals they have started the organization for. So it's mainly all philanthropic goals, social causes, right? So these are the three different types of entities we have: commercial, non-commercial. Within non-commercial you have two, the NPOs, and then the charitable organizations. But here what we'll do is we'll focus more on the commercial entities, because that's where most of the jobs are. okay? And commercial entities, focusing back on commercial entities, as Sampath said, that they are into, they are there to sell the products or services. Right? Any form of products or services will be the main goal, to sell the products, services, generate the revenue, maximize the profit, minimize the cost. So that's a goal. Now within a commercial entity, what do you have? Can I get some response from both of you? So we are now focusing back on just the commercial part, okay? Within the commercial entities, what do you think, how is an organization structured?
Normally we have, in a regular business, they have different departments, like manufacturing departments, marketing department, sales department, human resource department. So these are the departments normally you see any business entity, commercial business entity. Right. So they work closely to provide the services.
Exactly. Nisha?
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
So as Sampath said, in any organization you will have different departments, and typically you will have production department, operations, marketing, sales, logistics, information technology, finance, accounts, and things like that, right? So these are the different departments, and the way the organizations are structured, what we call the organizational structure, the org charts, the way they are structured is based, sometimes they are based on the department, sometimes they are based on the functions or the matrix. We'll talk all that later, but typically these are the different units or departments within any organization. Now within the departments you will have different processes. So when I say processes, yeah, Sampath, go ahead.
Jason, did you change the slide, or it's me?
No, it's the same one. It's the same one.
Because I thought that maybe it got hanged.
No. It's just on the same slide.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Hello. Hi,
so,
Jason.
Yes.
Yeah. You're smart. You're actually. Sonal is back, so you can talk to her. Sonal.
Sorry.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Mark,
Hello.
you were saying something?
Yes, Sonal is back actually because
Okay.
she was on a call.
Okay.
So she's back.
Okay. Hey, hi, Sonal. So
Hi,
I think,
Chitra.
Hi. So we just started actually a few minutes back. So I don't know. I'm sure. Did you miss all that? I guess.
Yeah, I missed our initial.
So we just started. That's okay. So what I was saying was, I'll just put you guys on mute. I'm getting a little bit like there's a disturbance in the background. So we were talking about the business entity, the way when we talk about first, before going to the business analysis, I wanted to just clarify what the business entity is all about. So we talked about, the commercial entities, which are basically there to make the profit, minimize the cost, and maximize the shareholder value. So that's the commercial entity. The other part is the non-commercial, where the goal is not to maximize the profit, but still, they generate some sort of revenue or cash, but then the goal is to either promote the discipline they are into, or the organization they are into, or to some sort of charitable goals or philanthropic goals. But going back, we'll focus more on the commercial entities because the goal is to train you guys and make you ready for the job and help you with the placements. So commercial entity, that's where we'll focus. Now commercial entity, again, within the commercial entity you have different departments. You can have like production department, operations, marketing, sales, logistics, IT, information technology, and many more, right? Finance, accounts, R&D. Now within these departments, you have what we call the processes, right? When I say processes, it's basically a set of activities performed within these departments to achieve certain output. So process is nothing but, there is a discrete set of activities happening. So you may have like 5-6 different steps or activities, and at the end of all the activities, you have some output being passed to another process, right? So how many of you can just give me some names of any process in your experience? If you have, you might have heard some similar word, that in your department or in your job role. So when I say process, what do you mean by process? I mean, just give me some example.
Chetan, this is Sampath. What I can think of is a manufacturing department. Let's say, for example, you are manufacturing a car. Within the manufacturing department, there are so many units. They come out with manufacture different parts of a car. But at the end of the day, all those parts will come to one place, and the assembly. They do the assembly, and the output is going to be a car.
Right. Okay.
So
yeah, that's like an analogy you're giving. Okay, good.
So what is the difference between process and project?
Okay, I'll come to that. I think Sonal, are you in some place where a lot of noise going on in the background? Can I mute? Did you ask me this question?
No, this is Nisha. I asked.
Sonal, I will just mute you and you can raise your hand, right? Sonal?
Yeah, hi.
Okay, because I'm getting a little bit distracted from background, so I'll just mute you.
Okay, fine.
Or if there's some noise going on in the background, if you can stop, I'm okay.
No, there is no noise in my background.
Okay. So, okay, Nisha, to answer your question, what is the difference between a process and a project, right? That's what your question is?
Yes.
Okay, the project is basically, it's like it is a temporary endeavor, what we call it. It's a temporary thing which will have a definite start and end date, and in order to achieve some sort of goal. So it can be, you're creating a product or a service or some sort of, you are doing some change to your process. A project is nothing but, it's a temporary thing which will have a definite start and end date, right, in order to accomplish some goal. So, for example, you are building, let's suppose you are going to a place, you are planning a trip, right? You're planning a trip somewhere. So you may have a different set of activities within that. You may be, okay, let me give another example here. Let me start with the process, right? A process is a discrete set of activities. That means you are doing some, let's suppose you're going from point A to point B, okay? You're going from point A to point B. So you may have different things you need to do, like, you will have to break down the entire process into small chunks. You may say, okay, you may do task A first, right? Once you are done with the task A, then you will do task B, then C and D until you achieve your goal. So these are the A, B, C, D will be your processes. Right? But the project is, in order to accomplish certain thing, in order to accomplish a certain goal, you may initiate a project which will have a definite start date and an end date in order to accomplish that goal.
So if I'm planning a vacation, let's say I'm planning a vacation to Europe, and that is so if I'm planning a vacation, that is a process. And if I plan that I'm going to go to Europe, like when I'm first going to be in Paris, then I'm going to be in London, so I need my tickets, I need my hotels, all of that is project.
Project is, okay, what is your project? What is the goal that you want to go on a vacation, right? So that's a project. You want to reach Europe somewhere.
Okay.
So that's your project. in order to accomplish the project, you will have so many things here, right? You will have to book your tickets, hotel, airplanes.
Yeah.
Then you will have to, plan your itinerary.
Yeah.
You'll have to buy some luggage, suitcases, bags, and do all
Right.
those things. So these are the different activities within which you will be, doing it. So project is nothing but your end state. Okay, your goal of this project is to have a good time in Europe. That's your project, right? But within that, you have these activities going on, which you have to accomplish in order to achieve the goal of your project.
So broad spectrum is project, and when you are basically taking steps to achieve that, it is process.
Yeah, process, and the key difference is process is ongoing.
Okay.
Like I will give an example of a, let's say take an example within an organization. So you are working in, you said, let's suppose I'm working in a warehouse.
Okay.
So every day I have to do certain things. Let's suppose I have to check the stock, what is my inventory, how many goods I have in my warehouse, right? Then I may have to do some reconciliation. Then once I'm done, I have to generate some reports. I have to send it to the next level, right? Okay, these are my, reconciliation is my one process. Checking my inventory will be another process. Generating reports will be my one process. Because every day I'm repeating it, right? That's the key thing, process. You don't have, you don't say that, I'm done with that. Every time it can be repeated, and it will have certain input. You will take input from some other process, you will do some processing, and then you will throw an output. So that's pretty much better example, I would say.
Okay.
Right? So you got it, right? So process, within a department, you will have multiple processes. Right? So for example, accounts guy may be doing ledger updates. He or she may be doing some reconciliation, making some payments, receivables. These are all different processes. Similarly, the marketing guy will have their own set of processes. So within department, you will have different processes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Right? Sure, welcome. And so as I said, the processes will be different for different departments, but ultimately each department will have a discrete set of processes. Whether you can, I mean, of course, all these are what I say, you cannot of course see them because it's all intangible, but we are doing some sort of process or involved in some sort of processes every day, right? And the processes can be further broken down into a task level. That means task is nothing but a process which has been broken down to the finite level. So let's suppose I'm saying I'm doing a reconciliation of my stock. So within the reconciliation, if there are 10 different steps I have to do, so each step will be their own task. Okay. So are we clear that within the organization you have the structures, you have the departments, you have the processes, and the processes can be broken down to the task level. Now, who does it ultimately? I mean, it's of course there will be a set of people who will be hired with the right expertise, and there will be, of course, in today's environment, you cannot say that everything is being done manually, right? There will be a set of machines or set of systems, applications, which will be used by the people to perform their activities, right? So when I talk about the machines, it can be, some sort of fully automated system, right? Some sort of application. Of course, everybody might be using some sort of application, right? Nisha, Sampath, we all use some sort of systems, right, in order to do our day-to-day work. Sonal, yes, Sampath, you had a question?
No, Chetan, I'm fine.
Okay, okay. Sonal, you have anything?
What you call it?
Okay. So that's pretty much, I was trying to set a stage on what what the BA does. Now, have you heard of this vision, goal, and strategies? Right? Okay, so everything we do, right, everything, whenever we say, a commercial entity, or organization, why they do this, why they come up with these departments, why they do these processes, why they hire these people, with the expertise, these machine systems, they have certain vision and goals and strategies. So what is a vision? Vision is nothing but where the company wants itself to be, maybe in 5, 10, 15 years down the line, right? So they will have certain vision. Whenever somebody found, the founders of the company or even the top management of the company, they will say, okay, we want this company to be in so and so place in certain time. So it's at a very high level. It doesn't have details. It's just where they want this, the company to be in future. The goals are more specific in nature, what we call the SMART goals. And I'll give an example of what I mean. So the goals are more specific, and then based on the goals, the company will have the strategies to achieve those goals. So if you see, it's all linked. Your vision will be mapped to the goals, and the goals will be mapped to the strategy. So all three has to be in line, in perfect harmony, in order to achieve those things. So I'm just coming up with some example here. So let's suppose you're talking about a US bank, like a retail bank based in Minneapolis or somewhere in that area. So the vision of maybe a simple statement to be the market leader in the retail banking space. It's not specific. It's at a very high level. It's just what they have envisioned their company to be. The goal, you can see that it's more specific. It says to gain 20% market share in the retail banking space. I think I had a typo there. By 2020 to 2020. Right. So it's more specific now. And then in order to achieve the goal, the company will have different strategies. One can be, to reduce the cost. Second can be to take advantage of the new technologies coming in. Right. The third can be to get into, to have some more ATMs, or can have more partnerships with the stores in certain region to improve the customer service. So these are all strategies which will help the company to meet the goal, and in turn the goal will help to meet the vision. Okay. But the key thing is all three has to be in alignment for a company to be successful. So what do you think, once, let's suppose we are the promoters of this company, we promoted this company, and when we established the vision, we established the goal and strategies, what do you think? I mean, is it fair to say that, once we have done this, we can sit back and relax and, things will be perfectly as per the plan? Nisha, Sampath?
We need to implement the strategies, like we need to have a plan to implement the strategies. That is the first thing.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, here to reduce operating costs by 4 million USD. So you need to have a deep analysis where the cost cutting can be implemented.
Okay.
That could be the next step.
Correct. Okay.
So we take each strategy and prepare the analysis to how to implement this strategy.
Okay, good. Nisha?
Yeah, I think planning, basically, how do we plan to approach our target?
Okay, so let's assume, you know, we did all that. We did all the planning. We aligned our vision, goal, and we implemented the strategies. All the strategies are in place now. Let's assume that, you know, because the role of a BA is, you know, I'll come to that, you know, why I'm talking this. Let's assume that, you know, we had the vision, we had the goal, and we implemented all the strategies. We reduced the cost by $4 million. We, you know, we implemented certain new technologies. We had some new ATMs and all that. But now, do you think, you know, everything will be perfectly fine and, you know, we don't need to worry about that in future? The key thing is, you know, it's dynamic environment we live in. You have heard about this system, this term called business ecosystem. Have you heard about this? Yes, Sonal. Yes, Sonal.
Hello?
Yes, Sonal.
Yeah, hi. Nothing. Go ahead. I was just listening on the
Okay.
screen.
Okay. So
I think you're trying to get into even though we implement all the strategies, probably over a period of time, probably the business is going to get a new requirements from the business, from the customers, where we need to improve our business. We need to make some changes into our business to, or you say to.
right, yeah, exactly. So this is a term called ecosystem, right? Probably everybody knows about the ecosystem. What ecosystem is? It's like basically nothing but a community of the living, you know, like plants, animals, microbes, everything. We live in that environment, right? We are all connected. So knowingly, unknowingly, either directly, indirectly, we are all connected. Humans and animals and, you know, the nature, everything. So similar to that, you know, in today's environment, what we call the business ecosystem. So everything is connected. In the future, you know, like not future, sorry, in the past 10, 15 years back, people never cared about, you know, apart from what they were doing. So if they were making some product or services, they would just focus on certain things, whether the quality of the product is good or bad and how to improve the profitability, cost minimization and things like that. But in the recent 10 years, what has happened is, you know, with so much of things changing so rapidly, they understood that, you know, it's not enough for us to just take care of our own enterprise, what we do, but we also have to take care of how we are connected to different entities in the ecosystem. So let's suppose we are that's our enterprise, we are the departments, we have different processes, value streams, right? We have the products and services here, but apart from that, okay, we are the direct customers whom we are selling to, but we also have to take care of the customers of the customer. If that's the case, if we are selling some raw material to our customers and in turn they are selling it to their own customers, we need to take care of them too. We need to understand what they need, how they respond to our quality of the product. Similarly, the suppliers and also the suppliers of the suppliers. So, and if you go out more, you have all these environmental factors like economical, social, competition, the technological. So all these are different factors which you need to take into account when you are having your your vision, goal and strategies. So the reason I'm talking about the business ecosystem is this is not static, it is very dynamic. Like a nature ecosystem is pretty stable, right? Once it's all set, you know, it's not going to change that often. But the business ecosystem is very dynamic. You know, it's not going to remain same forever. It will keep changing. You may have new competition coming in. You know, you may have new suppliers coming in. There might be new technologies. There might be some political change. So all these things you have to take into account when you're doing this. And whenever there's a change, in your business ecosystem, there'll be two things. One is it will create some problems for you, or it will create some opportunities for you to explore. Right? So when I say problem, let me give an example. A competitor is launching a new product. So what is it? Is it a problem? Of course, right? If a competitor is launching a new product, or we both have the same product, but now they are adding some new features to it. So it's creating a problem, and we need to respond to it, correct? Similarly, let's suppose there's the government passed a new rule, a new law. Now, do we have an option to say, we really don't care, you may pass a new law, but we are not going to change ourselves? Can you say that?
No.
No. You have to abide by what the government comes up with. And especially since you are working in the healthcare, you must be knowing, that healthcare is strictly governed by so many rules, so many laws, which you have to
Follow.
be compliant to, right? You have to follow. You don't have any other option. So can you come up with some more? Okay, this is just a problem. At the same time, there can be some opportunities as well. So let's suppose there's a new sort of technology introduced in the market. A few years back, you might have heard of RFID, the radio frequency technology, which was heavily adopted by so many companies, especially the logistics and supply chain management, where they were able to track their goods and the inventory, and the stock management was so easy with that. Even if today, if you go to any store, you will see the RFID usage very much in very popular. So this is kind of opportunity where the companies will want to use it, right? The first one, we say the problem, they want to kind of solve it, and the second one is the opportunities, which again they want to capitalize on it. Basically both are different, but the companies want to take some action on it, whether it's a problem or opportunities. So can you guys give some more example? Let's suppose you might have come across this, any company facing some problems. So what can be some examples?
Facing problems, the only thing I can get right now is, like, for example, an insurance company, they are providing the services to so many other countries. And due to some political disturbances, if the U.S. government put a red alert on that particular government, on the particular country, it's going to affect our business.
Right.
That's
Okay.
a problem.
Good. Right. Yeah, it's a problem. I mean, you need to, if you don't take care of it, you're going to get impacted in a bad way, right? So you need to respond to that. That's a problem.
Yes, we instead of doing the business directly, that probably we'll try to tie up with another business that is allowed to do the, tie up with another entity that is allowed to do the business in that country.
Correct.
So something we need to come up with so that we don't lose the business.
Right. Exactly. That's a good example. And the problem, as I said, as in the healthcare, new law coming in, they are getting more stringent with how the certain drugs or certain companies should operate. What are the procedures they need to follow, right? All those things. So you have to abide by that. You don't have option. So that's kind of problem. But as I said, the bottom line is, whether it's a problem or opportunities, there has to be some action taken by the company, right?
Yes. Yes.
So Now, in order to, whether it's a problem or opportunity, the companies will be looking for solutions, either to solve a problem or to exploit the opportunities. Now, when I say problem, I mean, when I say solution, a solution can consist of multiple things. Typically, people think solution is just putting some system in place, but that is just a small subset of it. A solution can entail all of these in any combination. I mean, any of these in any combination. It can be, the first one component can be the companies doing some sort of restructuring. That means they are merging some departments or getting rid of one department, or they are changing the organizational structure in itself. We might have heard that, the entire unit has been closed, 1,500 people were relieved, they were laid off. So probably that's one example, where the company decided, okay, we don't want to handle this entire department. We want to just outsource it somewhere, outside of maybe US or within the US, but to some other agency or company. But we don't want to do that. So that's part of the organizational restructuring. Why they are doing it? In order to respond to the, what they are facing, the problem or some sort of opportunities they want to capitalize on. The second thing can be doing the business process re-engineering. Now, when I talk about the business process re-engineering, it's basically changing drastically the way they are doing the business, the way their processes are in place. And we'll talk more in detail when we do the course if you decide to go ahead. But BPR, what is a very important subject, and similar to that, it's a business process improvement. The difference between the BPR and the BPI is in the business process re-engineering, you drastically change the way the processes are in your organization. Whereas the business process improvement is you are making some tweaks to your existing process to make it more efficient and effective. But both, they are the concept behind that is same. You want to get rid of non-value added tasks, the bottlenecks, issues your processes are having. And the last component is the IT one, where you are trying to now build some systems or applications in order to support those processes. Right? So a solution can be any of these four in any combination. But as in today's world, of course, you will have some sort of IT component in any solution. You cannot have a solution which doesn't have any IT component in it. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Right? So solution, as I said, it will have multiple things. And most of the times, as a BA, you might not be involved in this layer. This is more from the management perspective. There's a different role called management analyst who will be helping the management to do this kind of work, organizational restructuring and all that. But from the business analyst point of view, you will definitely be involved in all three. Now, okay, we know that, okay, now they need a solution, what the solution is, but the problem is, these companies, they don't have these people to build a solution. Right? So most of the times these companies, it can be Bank of America, it can be, let's suppose any company, you name it. They know that, okay, they have understand what their problem is or what they want to capitalize on. They know that they need a solution, but they don't have the right expertise to build the solution and to implement the solution. So that's when they hire a team of people who have the right expertise. So they will have a people, the management analyst might be there. They will have the entire project team. Now, to answer Nisha's question, now they need to, in order to implement the solution, they will initiate a project. So the project, as I said, it will have the end goal that's to solve a problem or to exploit an opportunity. And in order to do that, they need to implement the solution, and the way they will implement is through a project. So they will hire a bunch of experts, what we generally call the consultants, to help them come up with a solution, right? To design, propose and develop a solution and also implement it. Now, this is very important for any business analyst, right? So when I say, the solution as a business analyst, now I'm purely focusing from the business analyst point of view. Now, as I said here in this slide, the team will have different roles. It will have a, when the company decides, okay, we want to implement the solution, let's hire the right people. So they will hire a team which will have a different, expertise on it. It will have a technical solution architect. It will have a business analyst, bunch of developers, quality assurance people, testers, right, technical writer. But now we will mainly focus from the business analyst point of view. I'll also talk about what the other roles will be doing. But as a business analyst, you need to understand the current state of the organization. It's very important you understand the current state. That means you understand your organization, like your client, where you are going to solve this, implement the solution. You need to understand how their organization is set up, the structure, their processes, the existing processes, and of course they will have their systems or applications which will be supporting the processes, and see what are the issues they are facing, what are the pain points. When I say pain points, what is it that is bothering the customers, the bottlenecks, where they are seeing that, okay, this is an issue for us. So all these things you have to understand before you can design the to-be state, or what we call the future state. So once you understand the current state, it is the role of a BA to come up with a future state. That means, again, based on all the discussions you had with your, I will just use a term called stakeholders. So based on all the discussions, you will come up with the future state of the processes, and also the systems or applications which will be supporting those processes. So the current state and future state. As a BA, you first understand your current state of the customer's processes, and then from that you come up with the future state or the to-be state. Now in doing so, the key thing here is the processes which will be involved for a BA will be, you sit down with your stakeholders, you elicit the requirements, what we call eliciting the requirements, analyzing them, what they need, right? When I say requirements, what do they need in order to solve the problem? Right? Documenting is just one part. Documenting the requirements, validating the requirements. That means, is it really solving the problem they are looking at? We don't want to add some new things which is not solving the problem. So you need to validate that with the stakeholders. So eliciting, analyzing, documenting, validating the requirements is the key thing what we do as a business analyst. Right? So based on what we do, the team will, when I say team, the architects will design a good architecture of the system. The developers will develop it, the testers will test it, and ultimately a system will be developed based on the requirements we got from the stakeholders. And by doing this, the goal is to help your client realign their vision, goal, and strategy. Right? That is the main goal. the reason why they initiated all this was because of their ecosystem, the disruption in the ecosystem. Now their vision, goal, and strategy was not in alignment. They wanted to fix it. They initiated a solution. You build it, and now it has to be realigned. The vision, goal, and strategy. So any did you get what the BA is doing? What is the role of a BA?
Yes, Chetan. Yes.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So you said that as a BA we have to suggest ideas how to improve, or how to come up with better ideas. So that means we have to know the project or know what the best, if we don't have information about that project, like how can we improve it?
Okay, so this is what you need to do first. You need to understand the current state of your customer's organization. So what are the key things, when you go to a project, let's suppose you go to a project, right? You're not expected to start delivering right from day one. You need to first, get what the project is all about, first of all. What is it what we are trying to solve here, right? They will have a different PM project management documents like project scope statement, project charter document, which is, of course, as a BA you're not supposed to write them, but it will have all the information you need to understand what the project is all about. And see many times, what will happen is you may not be involved in right from day one, right? The project may already have kick-started, but you are getting onboarded maybe a couple of months down the line. So you may have to go back to those documents and read those documents, and it can be also some sort of requirements documents if they already have. That will give you a good idea of what is the current state of the processes or the applications they have, and see where the issues are.
Okay.
And based on that, once you understand the current state, that's when you will be more productive and saying, okay, this is the new, the future state of the processes, and based on those future state, you can develop a set of requirements which will support the new process. So it is not like something you will be doing it in silos. You will be talking to your stakeholders. That when I say stakeholders, stakeholders is like any role or any group who is either impacted by this project or who is influencing the project. Okay? So you will be talking to them. It's not like you are doing it in silo and one fine day you will just say, okay, this is what it is. It's a very interactive session you have to do when you're talking to your stakeholders, and they will be giving you a lot of inputs. But your role is to make sure that what they are giving, you have to synthesize that information as a business analyst, and you have to make sure that whatever the requirements you are doing, it is ultimately solving the problem. Ultimately, I will just show you in the next slide what I mean. Here. So it has to go back to the business need. Why do you need a requirement? If you have a requirement which is not going back to the business need, there's no value to it. And I have more examples. This is another important slide I want to cover right now. But to answer your question, you are not doing it in silo. You will be talking to your stakeholders. You will be getting the requirements. You will be analyzing them. You go back to them, and if there's some gaps, you fill those gaps. It's a very iterative process. When I say iterative, that means you will be doing it in a repeated way. It's not a one-time thing. Is that clear, Nisha?
Yes.
Okay. So another thing I wanted to discuss is, I mean, first of all, are you clear, what a business analysis is all about?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so this is what we call the requirements pyramid. You have, when I say requirements, what comes to your mind?
Requirements.
What do you mean by requirements?
Prerequisites. The minimum or the needs.
Okay, give me some example. Okay, give me some example of, in your day-to-day life, you may go to a restaurant and, ask for something, and you may tell the server that, okay, I need to customize my, dish in such and such way, right? That is your requirement, basically, correct? Or you go to buy a car, you have a certain thoughts in your mind and you want to stick to that to the possible extent. You have certain requirements.
Yeah, Chetan, can I put it in a simple way? The requirement is nothing but something that I want, I'm looking
Exactly.
for.
Your need, right? Or what you need or want, correct. So this pyramid talks about exactly the different types of requirements we have. So here what we have is, you need to read from the top to bottom, because that's the ideal way of doing the requirements. You start at the top level. When I say top level, that means you are going back to the basic root of why you are doing it. What does the business need? And I have some example here in the next slide. So here let's take the example going back to the banking one. So let's suppose the management comes and tells you, okay, that we are initiating this we want a solution to expedite the loan approval process. Currently it's taking like 10 days, whereas our competition is doing it in 2 days, and we want to meet that goal. So they have benchmarked themselves. They're saying, okay, we want to do it in 2 days instead of 10 days. So that is what the business need is all about. For, let's suppose this is a project, right? So that's a business need, right, at this level. It's not detailed. It's basically just a high-level overview of, what they need. They need to improve this loan approval process from 10 days to 2 days. Now comes the stakeholder requirements. Now the stakeholders, as I said, when you as a business analyst, you start talking to your stakeholders, you may have a different set of stakeholders. So you may have different departments, or within the departments you may have different people with whom you are talking, and there might be there is a term called SME, subject matter expert, who might be assigned to this project. So you will be talking to them and get their requirements, what they want, and this is what it will look like. Again, it's a plain simple English. There's no reference to system or application. You're just saying, okay, a personal loan bank clerk should be able to review the loan documents. He or she should be able to send the application to the loan approving officer. So now when you start talking to them, they will say, okay, I need this and I need that and all that. So you are basically capturing it in a simple plain English. Go back and do some analysis, again talk to them until you think that you have a good set of requirements. And there is no certain math or a formula that when can we say that the requirements are perfect or good, because it's never like that. You'll always have some new requirements coming in and some existing requirements being updated or removed. So it's an ongoing process. But as you get experience, you will know that, okay, this is a good set of requirements to work on. Right. So your stakeholder requirements are again, from the business level, you're talking to your stakeholders, getting them and putting them. But the key is you need to make sure that all the requirements you are getting are linked back to the business need. I should not have anything which doesn't help me achieve this. Right. So this is this level. And once you're done with this, that's when you come to the system level and start talking at a system requirements. So you can see here, I'll just give an example. The scenario is, let's suppose you're talking to the personal loan bank clerk, and he said that, okay, I need to review certain documents in order to do something. So we are saying the same requirement, now we are tweaking it into the system level. We are saying the system shall allow the personal loan bank clerk to review the loan documents. So it is going back to this same requirement, but now I'm talking at a system level. And the key thing is it can spawn multiple system requirements. So one stakeholder requirement, and I have two system requirements. The second one is when you're talking to this guy, the loan clerk, he or she may say, once I do this review, I need to add some comments. I need a way where I can add some comments to it. So you will say, okay, the system shall allow the loan clerk to enter the comments against each application received for the loan processing. You can see, that now I'm talking at a system level, and we have different types of requirement at a system level. So you have functional requirements, non-functional, interface, transition, business rules, GUI requirements. These are different types of requirements, and we can talk more in detail. But to give an example, functional requirement is nothing but how a user interacts with the system. What is a feature or functionality he or she is using? That's what the functional requirements are all about. Nisha, Sampath, are you following me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Chetan.
Okay.
Yes.
So the functional requirements deals with any requirement which is directly used by the user. So let's suppose you are the user, right? You go to your Bank of America application or some banking application. At the moment you want to access it, first thing what you will do?
I open the browser, type the URL,
Okay.
log into the bank application.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the login is the feature you are using, right? That's a feature or a functionality which is directly being used by the user. That is
Yes.
So that is a functional requirement. Now non-functional requirement is something which is basically you are putting a constraint on the system. And probably you might have heard this, since you are testing into the testing. Like you are putting some sort of constraint, compatibility or maintainability. Whether your system is compatible with operating system, different MS or iOS.
Yes, I understood. Yes.
Right? Or which kind of browsers you are using, whether it's compatible with IE or Firefox, Chrome.
Yes.
So
exactly.
non-functional requirements are basically nothing but it's not directly used by the user. So it's not something we are directly seeing some value to it, but it is impacting the way we will experience the system. So let's suppose the availability. Oh, Nisha, I think you're typing, right? So can you please stop typing?
Okay.
So we can have more interactive sessions. Sorry for that. So
Okay.
let's suppose you are on a system which is only available like 4 or 6 hours a day, right? As compared to you have another application which is available 24/7. So which one will you prefer?
The one that's 24/7.
Exactly. So these are the different types of requirements which may not be, kind of directly used by the user of the system, but they they impact the way, we will experience or we would like to have the system to be. So these are the different set of requirements, you need to discover or you need to identify them. So functional, non-functional, and we can talk more. I mean, these are very detailed topics, but just to, give you a brief idea. The interface requirements are kind of, when you have two or more systems talking to each other, you need to make sure that, you're capturing those requirements as well. So let's suppose you're working on one system and it has to send some data to another system, or it has to receive some data from another system. So you don't need to write some web services or some technical thing, but you need to identify, okay, what information has been sent to that system or what has to be received from that system. Right? So in the BA's world, you cannot dump all the requirements and give them one label. You need to identify, okay, which are functional requirements, which are non-functional, which are interface, what are the business rules, right? So these are different types of requirements you will be doing it. And also there are certain documents you will be creating, and this is just one example, use cases and the user stories. Now of course, if you go in a project which is more agile, and you don't typically write the use cases, mainly you focus on the user stories. It's a different way of writing the requirements, but it is kind of, the way you do your documentation. Any questions on this?
No.
So we will be using any software when we are doing use cases and user stories?
There is a lot of, the use cases can be written in simple Word document, and same with user stories. You don't need a very specialized tool. Of course, you have tons of tools to write a user stories, but typically, you can write it even on a piece of paper. In fact, the use cases you'd write on a Word document, of course, but the user stories typically originally they were written on a piece of paper, index card. But,
okay.
If you don't have, of course, we don't want to live in that world where we are writing on a piece of paper. So what people do is, we can use Excel, Excel or Word document, and there are different tools just for managing your, user stories, basically. But it doesn't matter, the tool is not important. The important piece is, how do you write a user stories? How do you split a big user story into multiple ones? How to write an acceptance criteria and all that. And we can talk more in detail.
So in our course, you will teach us how to write use cases and user stories?
Of course. That's a big time. We have to, because that's part of the documentation as a business analyst. I showed you right here. You will be, here. You will be eliciting the requirements. That means you are gathering the requirements. You are analyzing them. That means you are looking from, you are synthesizing all the information and making sure that the requirements are tying back to the business need, right? Documentation, that is a key thing also. Documentation will be your FRDs, your use cases, your user stories, writing the acceptance criteria.
Okay.
Right? And documentation can also entail, coming up with the business process models, use case models, and all that.
So when you are at your client side in the meetings, you are recording these requirements, analyzing them, and then you just basically create use cases and user stories to explain how to deal with those or how to make those functional.
See, use case is the objective of the use case or any documentation is to to convey what the system, what the requirements are on behalf of the stakeholders, right? So you write a use case or you write a user story basically based on what you talk with your stakeholders, right? The way you elicit the requirements, you analyze them, and then you document them And it's an iterative process. It's not any, when I say iterative and incremental, that means it's not that you are just doing one day, you are doing your elicitation sessions, next day you analyze them, and third day you document them and give it to the next level. It's not like that. You need to do it in an iterative and incremental way. That means you can have multiple sessions with your stakeholder. You understand the requirements, you analyze them, you document them, again show it to them. They will say, okay, no, this is not what we want, make some changes here and there. So you keep repeating it until you come to the point where it is all, I mean, it's never perfect, but at least everybody is on the same page.
So if you're working for a company X, the stakeholders are from company Y, where the project for your company X will be working on.
So,
stakeholders are from different company, not from where you are, the company that you are representing.
See, as a consultant, we are just going to help that company, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. Let's suppose I'm a business analyst. I work for Booz Allen, right? When I go to a client, my client is let's suppose what do you call some agency. I'm working right now. I'm working for a government agency. Right? So I'm working for Department of Energy. So the Department of Energy doesn't care whether I'm from Booz or I'm from TCS or I'm from any other company. Right? They want, okay, once I come to the project, what am I expected to do? I'm expected to talk to the stakeholders. That means the Department of Energy will have a designated people with whom I need to talk to them and understand what they need. Once I understand that, I keep talking to them, do my work, elicit the requirements, analyze them, document them, again go back to them, share the documents with them. It's a iterative and incremental way until we are all comfortable and can move forward from that point onwards.
So so if you reach to a stage where your documents are approved by the stakeholders, then who will be working on those documents? The Department of Energy?
No, okay. So probably, yeah, I should have told you that. So once we do these requirements, right? So the next, why are we writing the requirements? To develop the solution, right? To implement this system. So the next thing is, we are doing it for the developers so that they can develop the system based on the requirements we do.
Right.
Right? So the developers and the solution architects and also the testers, because testers have to test the system. So these are our customers. As a business analyst, that's what I always say. So for the business analyst, one part is to get the requirements from the stakeholders. But once I do the elicitation, analysis, and documentation, now I need to convey the requirements in the right way to my internal stakeholders. That is my solution architect, my developers, and testers, so that they can, the developers, the technical architects can build the architecture of the system, the developers can code it, and the testers can write the test cases for the system, so that they can know where the system is failing and passing.
And that could be any company, not the company where you're working. It could be the company that is related to do the project for the stakeholders.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it can be, in my team right now, I may have some people from Booz Allen, one or two people from some other company, but ultimately the goal is to help the Department of Energy.
Right, right. And are there any like junior business analyst or senior, like when you are going and working at these stakeholders, taking the requirement at that and then analyzing them and creating into the user stories, do you have your own manager where you can, or a senior person to your job where you can discuss these things?
See, okay, I think you're talking about what are the different, the trajectory of the business analyst role, right?
Yeah.
So basically you start with a junior level BA, right?
Okay.
But I would not suggest, because you already have like 8 years of experience.
Right.
So why do you want to go and join as a junior BA?
But 8 years of experience was not in BA.
See, that is correct, but the role, you have a good domain knowledge. Okay, that we can discuss that later, but typically you start as a junior BA, right, as a business analyst. You move to the senior business analyst, the lead business analyst, and then you can go to the project management side, or you can, if you have a group of people, the group of business analysts, then you can work as a business analyst manager, managing the BA group in itself.
Okay.
Right, and then you can have further you can go to the project management discipline, or you can become a business architect, enterprise architect. So those are the different options you have. Okay, so are we clear what the key components of a business analyst is? You do your requirements elicitation, you do your analysis, you do your documentation, you go back to your stakeholders, make sure that what you have captured is indeed solving the problem they are working on, and then you have to, of course, manage the requirements. When I say manage, what happens is, once you initiate the project, once you are working on the requirements, you need to make sure that the requirements you are getting, it's not like one time, it will be continuous. You will be talking to them on a day-to-day basis. You will be getting new requirements. The existing requirements might be getting removed or updated. So you have to manage those things, right? And most of the times, you will have a lead BA who will be taking on more responsibilities as part of the requirements management. So he or she may be monitoring the progress of the requirements, weekly status, reporting back to the PM, and things like that. So now this is quickly, I can, it won't go into the detail because it's kind of, this is like the entire snapshot of your BA role. So these columns are basically nothing but the project phases. So as I said, the project is a temporary effort with a definite start and end date in order to produce some output. It can be a product, service, or even some sort of process. But typically you will have these phases in any project. You will initiate a project, you will plan a project, you will execute a project, and you will monitor and control, and then you will close the project. And from the requirements point of view, these are the different tasks we do as part of the BA. So you will be eliciting the requirements. That means you are gathering the requirements from your stakeholders. You are doing the analysis, documenting, you're doing the solution assessment, and managing the requirements. But if you see, in each phase, we will show you, what are the tools and techniques you will be using. So just an example here. So let's suppose you are in the planning phase. The project is in the planning phase. So what tools and techniques you will use in order to elicit the requirements? So we will go through each one of these. So what are the different tools and techniques you will do to analyze the requirements? So what you may be doing the process models. You may be doing some unified modeling language work there, or you may be doing some sort of like activity diagrams, or any of these, in any combination. Similarly, if you are executing a project, what activities you need to do as a BA? And some may be repeated, like some may be reused in different phases. But let's suppose, here you can see that, okay, the brainstorming can be used even in initiating phase or a planning phase. It's the same thing, but as a BA, you should know, okay, if I'm in the planning phase, what are the different tools and techniques I can use? The documentation part. So let's suppose you are in the planning phase. What all documentation you need to create? You need to create the requirements management plan, the business analysis plan, the Reiki metrics, and all these. So if you are thorough with this chart, that means pretty much you are done. I mean, you have all the skills you need to be a BA, which a BA must have. Any questions on this?
So there's no software used to do any of these planning. It's just basically learning how to write them on a Word document or create a flow diagram.
We will use different tools. I'll come back to that shortly, but to answer your question, we will have a MS Visio suite, which will have basically Word. MS Word is one of the most common tools used. Then we will have MS Visio. Right? Have you used MS Visio before?
Yeah, kind of. Word, of course, Word and Excel I've used. Word I use a lot, and Visio, I've not really used it, but I've seen it.
It's pretty easy. I mean, we will teach you everything. I mean, Visio. So Visio is used mainly for modeling.
Okay.
Right? You can use different templates to do different types of models. So we'll heavily use MS Visio. Then we will also use one tool called Ganter for coming up with the project management artifacts. How to create a schedule using a Ganter.
Okay.
Right. Then there are certain open source tools which we will use in order to how to create an RTM. How to writing a user story, as I said, it's nothing to do with the tool. You can use on a piece of paper. You can use a Visio, you can use Excel, you can use Word, but we will also introduce some of the tools which are being used currently in the market so that you are not, you can basically be familiar with the tool, and if you go on a project which is using some tool, you don't have to worry about that. Right? So we will, of course, we will have a lot of tools we will introduce you to. But these tools are pretty simple, it's nothing, they are all very user-friendly tools. All it takes is like maybe 1 or 2 days to get your hands dirty on it and start playing with it.
Okay.
It's nothing, it's not complicated tools. Okay, so, and this, as you see, this chart, we will go through each of these things. We'll do all the elicitation techniques. We'll do everything here, but I will focus more on things which are in use. Right? So, for example, in my 10 years of career of BA, I've rarely used this one, fishbone diagram. It's in theory, it's very good. I understand everything, but in practical world, we have used only once. So those things, we will touch base on those things, but I'll focus more on things which are used in day-to-day basis in today's world. So for example, the business context diagram, it's very important for everyone to understand. Business process diagram, stakeholder analysis. So those things we'll focus more. But at the end of the course, you should be familiar with each and every element on this chart. That is the goal. You should be able to talk confidently on everything. If I ask you, okay, what is the RAD session? What is RAD? You should be able to talk, what is RAD? Or how to draw an activity diagram. You should be able to know, not only how, but also when to do it. This chart will tell you that. So if you know that, okay, you are in the planning phase and you are doing the analysis, that is, I need to use any of these tools. Okay? So, some of the key skills required, as I said, I can't stress further on this. The role of a BA, business analysis, the second word itself is you're analyzing things. So analytical skills is of utmost importance. And the way you can build your analytical skills is, as more and more you get familiar with the existing domain of your customer and the processes they have, the better you can analyze them. Because if you don't know them, the way they are doing it currently, you cannot analyze them. And in order to understand, in order to fix it, you need to understand what is going on. Problem solving skills, a good communication, verbal as well as written. And of course, the creative, you should be able to give good solutions. So a real value of a consultant is not to just take down the requirements and give it to the developers or the testers, but the good consultants will be providing inputs to the customers and help them solve the problems. Good presentation skills, you have to give it to your customers, your stakeholders, internal, external. That when I say internal, that means your solution architects, developers, testers. You have to communicate the requirements to them, right? And at the same time, external. That means you are talking to your business folks, getting the requirements from them. So you have to communicate well with them. Learning skills. Even today I'm learning a lot of things. It's not never-ending process. In IT, especially in IT, it's always, every few weeks or few days, you'll hear some new things, and you need to keep up to date with that. So you have to be, open-minded in that sense. And when I say learning, doesn't mean that you have to spend hours on that. On-the-job learning is the best way to do it. So you may have some new tool, your customers may be, or for example, I'll give an example. We have a certain tools we introduced. So the client wants us to use those tools. And the best way to do is, you take some training, 1 day training or 2 days training, which, my company provided us with, and you kind of start working on it. And I think it's same for all the disciplines in today's world, the way, things change so fast. You cannot just say, okay, once I'm done with the college, I stop learning. It's a bad thing. Bad thing in the sense, it's a bad attitude. We always want to keep ourselves up to date. So domain knowledge is one thing, as you go, like for example, Nisha, you have a very solid domain knowledge of the healthcare, right? Sampath, you have a very good in the insurance sector. So you guys have a very good domain knowledge, and that's a very big plus point, because many of the students who come, sometimes they don't have any work experience. So they don't even know what the domain is. So in that case, we have to tell them, okay, each sector, do healthcare or logistics, supply chain, finance, we have to give them some basic understanding of the domain. So good domain knowledge, if you have a certain domain knowledge, it always helps because it keeps you, it will basically bring you up to speed. The learning curve is less steep. And some other things, you should be technically, you should be aware. I'm not saying you need to learn coding or you need to understand in depth, but you should be aware of, when I say a web service, what it means. And we'll talk all that in the course. If you don't know, you just need to know what a web service is, or what a class is, what an object is, things like that. So if I say, cloud computing, you should know, what I'm talking. You don't need to design, or you need to really give me, a detailed explanation of that, but you should, from the concept point of view, you should know what a cloud computing is. So in the interest of time, I'll go through these slides. But any questions we have?
No, we're good as of now. I'm fine.
No, Chetan, we're good.
Okay. So these are different terms we use. You might have heard business analyst, business process analyst, systems analyst, business systems analyst. But if you see this slide, there's a subtle difference between all these roles. So when I talk the business analyst or a business process analyst, they are more geared towards the business side. That means they are trying to understand, two things. One is how things are working right now, the current state of the processes, and come up with the future state of the processes. And the way they do it is, again, they have to do the requirements, they have to sit down with the stakeholders, requirements elicitation, analysis, documentation, validation, that's common. but they have to improve the processes. So business analysts and process analysts, they work on that side. Whereas the business systems analyst or the IT business analyst, they also take some more roles.
Hi, sir. Hi, Sampath. This is Mark here. Okay, because I don't know, I think there's a problem with the, something, Satan line went offline. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like yes.
Yeah, it went offline. Just meanwhile, okay, just let me show you how we're gonna work about the one moment. Okay, Lisa, you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. So this is how the trading blog is going to look. So let me open one of the badges, let me open a badge, say, let's go with QA. Okay. So this is how the trading blog is going to look. Okay. So the second thing what we require, you to click here and subscribe to site changes. Why we have to do is because whenever we go post some video. Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, sorry, I think I got disconnected.
No problem, no problem. Okay, so here I'm going to show you about the trading block. So how are we going to use that? Okay, so the first and foremost thing, as I mentioned earlier, you need to go here and subscribe to site changes. Why we have to do that? Because whatever video, the videos or say any documents we're going to upload in the training blog, you will get an email notification. So you don't need to come often to check the training blog. So if you see towards the left side, you have home, assignments, course materials, questions to the trainer, session links, and session videos. So you'll be getting the assignments which will be posted over here, in this page. So where you can download it, work on it, and you can upload it back to the assignments page. Second thing is going to be the course material. So either we'll be giving you a link to access those material, or we'll be posting that over this page. So you'll have all those materials here, so you can go ahead and you can download it, you can view it, and you can work on it. Third page is very important. Say if you have any questions to the trainer offline, so you can go ahead and you can just upload your question over here. Okay. So the trainer or myself will reply to your question in the training blog itself. So when we're going to require a reply to you, you'll get an email notification. And the fourth is the session links. So we'll be uploading the links every day, day-to-day basis. So you need to come here and click on the link and just register yourself. Okay, because this link is already over because the batch is over. So, and the fifth is the session videos, which is very important. So we'll be uploading all the videos over here. So you'll have the access for lifetime. So, you can just come to the training blog and you can watch the video. You can just go ahead and click on it, say,
basically start
yeah,
with your connection and reflection
let's say.
feature. Now, generally with this particular topic, so basically the interface by itself.
So if you want to make it more clarity, you can go here and you can go to quality, and there you will find the high quality definition, so which you can watch it over there. Okay, 1 minute, let me pause it. So this is about the training blog. So if you have any questions regarding the training blog, you can ask me. And meanwhile, I'm gonna give the access to the trainer, Chetan, so he's gonna take over from there. Thank you, Nisha. Thank you, Sampath. And thank you, Chetan.
Sure. So yeah, basically I was saying, sorry, I lost connection in between. So let me share my screen. Okay. So yeah. So yeah, this is where I think we left, right? So this course is basically to have a, end-to-end, not only the business analyst or the systems analyst, but the entire business systems analyst. So you should be able to do the whole 9-yard process, understand the process, current state, future state, do the requirements, system level requirements, and complete the entire cycle. So the career prospects, quickly, on an average, the job market is pretty nice for a business analyst. Good thing is it's tool agnostic. That means you don't really need to depend on certain technology or a tool. All you need is a good skill set. If you have a good skill set, it doesn't matter whether you're working in, a Java or .NET or COBOL mainframes or any other system or any other language. It's basically, it doesn't matter. So on an average, you can say, now this is a very variable, it's a relative term, but on an average, the pay you should be expecting is around like 90 to 100K. And that depends on certain things, where you are looking for a project and things like that. So again, the same thing, as you get more experience, you get more pay, but the starting, unless you go as a junior business analyst, you should be expecting somewhere around like 85, 90K. From the career prospects, it is one of the fastest growing discipline and the profession. And some of the figures we took it from the US Bureau of Labor. So you can see it's pretty much coming from the government that by so and so by 2020 this is what the demand is. So right now there's a huge gap between the demand and supply. And in future, the things will be more because everything is now being automated or systems in place, which will always have more demand for the business analyst. And one of the reasons is, I think I missed that slide in here. It basically, I think I took it out, but it basically showed, the amount of money which is being wasted in doing the bad requirements. So in future, in future, what's going to happen is, this role will be kind of a specialist role. Even right now it is, but in the past, people have suffered a lot because the requirements were done by people who are not having the right skills, and the project used to have a lot of issues, a lot of rework, a failure, or not able to meet the business need. So that resulted in a lot of waste. So this I already spoke, you'll have the business analyst, and from there you can go to the lead role and manager and then architect, or you can go to the PM side. So it's, but it's always, that's a foundation. So from the training point of view, this is what the training course or the roadmap of our training is. So we have different, we have in all, like it will take like 5 to 6 weeks of to complete the training. So in the initial, we have different modules. So in the module 1, we will just basically build the foundation. That means give you the, the entire theoretical concepts of the SDLC, what are the different software engineering practices, project management overview, why we need to understand the project management, because every solution we will be working on will be delivered through a project, right? So project will be always, you will be working in a projectized environment. So we need to understand the entire project environment, project management discipline. So we'll do that, and from the second module is very important, because that's where we will, we'll go into in-depth, understand not only the theory part but also the practical applications of writing this, all the artifacts, coming up with the process flows, models, UML, writing the use cases, user stories, and all that. So module 2 is like what I say, 80% of the time we'll spend, or 70 to 80%, and the remaining module 10 and module 3, sorry, module 1 and module 3 will be like, 10 to 15% of the time. So once we are done with that, around like 4th week or so, we will start doing your resumes and also start preparing you for the interviews. We'll have a couple of mock sessions, and at the end of around 5th, 6th week, you should be in the market. You should be able to start taking the interviews. And I see in both of you guys, Nisha and Sampath, since you have got good experience, it will be, the learning curve will be less steep, and it will be an easy transition for you guys into this role. Because most of the times, people struggle because they don't have any work experience. So they don't even know what to talk to take an interview. But in both of you guys, it's pretty much, that you have work experience. That's a big plus point. Any questions?
No, Chetan, as of now, nothing.
Okay.
Are we done now? Hey, Chetan?
Yeah, sorry. I think I pressed the mute button. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the module 1 is, as I said, it's basically the basic foundations. As I said, understanding the key concepts, what the stakeholders are, the different types of requirements. What I showed is just at a very high level, but we will go into more detail, and with each thing, we will do a hands-on exercise. I'll tell you to, give me certain set of artifacts at the end of each session. The module 2, as I said, is the key thing here. We will do the process improvement concepts, how to create the as and to be processes, how to identify the issues, bottlenecks, pain points. Then we will also talk about the object-oriented things, object-oriented fundamentals. What is object-oriented? Why do we need to learn that? Because again, when I talk about the object-oriented, we need to understand that so that you guys can properly understand the UML part, Unified Modeling Language, because it ties back to the object-oriented concepts. And in that UML, we will talk about how to create different diagrams. Mainly the main 3 are use case, activity, and state chart. And we'll use simple tools like Visio to do that. Also, how to write the use cases, user stories, and FRDs, and many more documents. We'll do it. So this module 2 is basically, practical application will be more. We'll focus more on the practical application. And the module 3 probably, just concepts. Why we need to understand the quality assurance. What is the role of a BA when we are doing the quality assurance, the testing. Basic concepts of SQL, and concepts of service-oriented architecture, web services, cloud computing, and the things like that. So from, as Mark already said, from the logistics point of view, but so, as I said, our course is basically designed on two things. One is to give you a good conceptual foundation, so that it's not just we don't want just you just to crack the interview. You should also know, you should have a good foundation first of all. Secondly, good exposure to the how to apply that theory in the practice, right? So, and the third thing is the course has been designed based on the IIBA's book, which is the BABOK, what we call Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. So it meets the industry best practice, and that's how you have the basically the combination of all three. You have a good theory foundation, you have the practical knowledge, and then finally, in future, if you decide to go for certification, you have already read this book in a way, because the course has been designed based on that, the BABOK. And with each session, I'll give you a lot of assignments to do, so that by the end of the course, you won't even feel that you are a fresh or a novice. You will feel that you have already done a lot of work in BA. So I think, having said that, I think that's all I have, and I really appreciate you guys spending this time with me at this hour, attending the demo. So I really appreciate that, and thank you for that. Any questions, Nisha, Sampath, you have for me?
Thank you, Chetan. It's a good session. I really appreciate your.
No, thank you. I mean, I really appreciate you, because I know it's kind of at this hour, for 2 hours spending in the evening is kind of difficult for you guys. But yeah, let me know. Email us or call me if you need for any questions or concerns. Yeah.
Sure, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Yeah.
Bye.